now everybody think they can walk around shooting folks and talk crazy.
Right.
Madison's not coming.
I don't know, man.
Now, I gotta get up off this couch on camera.
You're gonna be well. You
I don't want me to go.
you will be on camera. Y'all be on camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to get up.
Oh.
Transition.
No, we'll
Pause.
pause.
I didn't know.
We'll pause you out.
Because
We'll pause the transition. We'll give you
Okay, I was
listen,
just-
if you're anything like me, sometimes you gotta roll to the knees
go ahead
and push
to the
yourself
side.
back
I
up.
got the bad angle too, so you can hear some cracking.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. I'm right
Like my new
there.
hair?
It's like, is that your knee? I'm like, it is.
Tori hooked me up.
And I just realized it. When I put that picture up, so I didn't realize.
Alrighty.
That was me.
I'm gonna have to switch seats.
With me?
And we are live. Welcome back to the Urban Impact Show. Thank you all so much for tuning back in with us. Man, I can't believe it. We're back for another weekend. We have done a show every Sunday since the first Sunday in January.
Yes, we have. That was the plan.
I was gonna say I thought
That was the plan. Yes.
And we are now halfway through July. And we're still going, and I am super, super excited about what's going on. But the Urban Impact Show is live from the studio in Windsor Heights. Oh, I got it right this time.
Right.
Yeah. Last time you called me out and said I missed the city. So,
live.
Oh, why is it so hard to say?
man, because I couldn't remember Windsor. I don't know why.
It's okay.
But I'm going to say something about Windsor Heights in just a minute. Let me go back to this. The Urban Impact Show is live from the studio in Windsor Heights. This space that we are in right now is available for private events and for booking. If you would like to book this space that we're in, please call or text with questions 515-996-0326. Again, that phone number is 515-996-0326. And now back to my comment about Windsor Heights. I'm noticing that they're doing a whole bunch of building and construction over there, and I feel like Iowa has two seasons: winter and construction.
Yeah.
Like I feel like,
And I feel like they've been
both.
doing that. Like they've been doing it the whole time we've been here. It's like they one side of the street to the next side of the street to down the street. It's like, when is this gonna be over?
yeah, it's like it's and then even on the highways, it's like soon as winter is it's like construction all the way until winter again, and I'm like, well, oh man, well, just at the time as people go outside, we clutter outside with a whole bunch of mess. So, DeWanna, what are we talking about today?
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
All the hot topics that you can think about. We're going to have conversations about them, whether we agree or disagree, but this is Hot Topic Sunday.
It's Hot Topic Sunday. So what is that? What exactly does that mean, Brittany?
I think any hot topic that's going on in the world, in the city, in the community, we're going to talk about it today.
We getting ready. And if we can, make some noise for the return of our good friend, Mr. Louis Fountain.
Exciting to be back.
Man.
You haven't been back in a new space.
No, I haven't. Last time I was here, we were not in Windsor Heights.
Yeah.
For sure. A little bit different. I feel like George and Wheezy, we done moved on up.
We have been.
Flat screens on TV.
I know.
Bottled water to my left.
A refrigerator.
Came a long
Got a
way.
Keurig right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
Yes,
got
we have.
sponsorship.
Right.
Joanna. Jeez.
You came back at a good time.
I did.
You did.
Came
You
back
did.
at a great
Well,
time.
well, welcome back, man. We are
Yeah.
super, super. I know they're happy to have you back.
You got all your jokes
No,
out?
you're happy to have another
I
man.
was
Keep
getting
it
ready to say,
real.
I
Yeah,
said
keep it
they're
real.
happy, but I'm more so elated because now it can we can balance this thing out a little bit more.
They be double teaming you, Rob. I see.
Man,
I done caught a couple.
triple
I done
teaming,
caught a couple
man.
episodes.
Like,
I'm
you
like,
know,
yo, they
and
be doing my
we're
man.
like
And
right
then-
here. Me and
Then they
Dewana
got
and
then they
Dewana
got
right
mad
here.
at me for saying it was women's fault for some of the stuff going on. You know, like Jada. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, that was Jada's
like
fault.
Jada's the problem.
See?
you
Here's
know
the
what I'm saying?
problem.
N-
Yeah, she.
There we go.
That
That is not a part of the hot topic discussion.
No.
Brittany's
If you don't want that, if you don't
We
want
will
that,
cease.
Tupac is no longer here. We sorry that you just had to settle for Will. Now, he's catching abuse to that.
Jada's the
Talk
problem.
about another day.
Yeah,
But she
thank
definitely
you.
is the problem.
Thank you, Lou. I appreciate
without a
that. Man,
doubt.
boy, it feels so
Got
good to have you right here. Man.
Take it back
Isn't
over,
it funny
Dewana.
though? They sandwiched in between, so they're right next to each other. You and I are like on the whole
Right.
opposite ends of each other, so we got to constantly give each other a look every once in a while. You know,
Man.
that was
Strategically
purposely.
planned.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Absolutely.
It was.
Well, y'all, we are back, man. Mr. Lewis has made his return. And so today, as we talk about hot topics, we're going to be interchanging guests because you all have heard our opinions on a lot of things. And so what we want to do today is these guests will not be just focusing on their topic of their expertise, you know, whether that may be housing, whether that may be parenting a child with autism, whether that may be education, whatever their expertise may be, that's not what they're going to be talking about today. Today, they're on the show giving their thoughts and opinions about what's happening on these hot topics. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to bring up a few of our guests already. We're going to get going because we're excited to start hearing their opinions about a few things. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with the Urban Impact Show.
Welcome back to the Urban Impact Show, where we have kicked Rob out of his seat. So we are here to talk a little bit of hot topics. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to start with this hot topic that actually has gotten more airtime as we've gone along, but it didn't at first. I wasn't even aware of this at first, but we are going to be talking about Brittney Griner. She's the basketball player that is now in Russia, trying to get back home, has been trying to get her back home for quite some time. And so we have Miss Mina with us today. Welcome to the show.
Welcome back.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So talk to us. What are your thoughts on this? And then everyone else chime in too as well. What's your thoughts on this topic?
My thoughts on Brittney Griner is that first, if she was a male athlete, she would be home. Those are my
Quiet
first
in the
thoughts.
back.
But then also my second thoughts are also, accountability. At some point we do, it's not fair that she's been locked up as long as she has, but at some point we do have to take accountability for the stupid mistakes I feel like we make sometimes. And we all make mistakes. We all do wrong. We all do things that we should not do. So I just hope that this teaches her and anyone else a lesson to, be cautious of the things that you do, because you never know. Everything has a consequence, and you don't know how hard or light that consequence will be. And unfortunately, she's being probably made an example, I would say. And so, she's getting a bad consequence, and hopefully we do get her home. But I did hear that she pled guilty, and hopefully that means that we can exchange her from Russia to the United States. So hopefully that'll be happening soon. But definitely let's be more mindful of the things that we do, because consequences are real.
Well, we're in the middle of a war too right now.
Yeah.
So mind you,
Yeah.
you're going to another country, you've got what you've got, and that was like the perfect gift to Russia, in my opinion. At that point, it was like, oh, now we can really do something. They were already mad at us for the fact that we got involved with helping out Ukraine. And so I believe like this is their way of getting back at the United States as much as they could. So I think that's one thing to think about too. Like, be mindful of that.
Do you
Brittney?
think they knew who she was right when they did it, or did they like, oh, we got a gym because she's
no,
a...
they knew exactly.
They knew who
Okay.
she was?
And none of this is about Brittney Griner.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
It's
Yes.
about politics. It's
Yep.
about money. It's,
Yep.
Yeah.
it's about guns. It's
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
any and everything except her and some weed cartridges, marijuana
Right.
cartridges.
Because
Let's
that's
be
what I
honest.
was gonna
It's not
say,
about that
like,
at all.
just to kind of go into what you were saying, like her taking the cartridges, like for one, they even removed like they don't have to test for weed or anything like that in the WNBA anymore. So I think maybe she felt like, obviously she's smoking.
Yeah.
She felt like maybe she wouldn't get as in much trouble, because here she wouldn't have got into that much trouble. But that's why it's important to, when you're going over to these other countries, do your research
Yes.
on what their laws are, what different things is, because I'm pretty sure when she packed her bag, she did not think that this would happen, because obviously she wouldn't have taken that many cartridges. In the U.S., you might not have gotten to as much trouble, but there's, like you said, this is
She had
about
enough for
politics.
her and
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
team
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the assistant coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that
Exactly.
it's not, to us, this is not a huge deal. It's not a big deal. But like Lewis said, they're trying to make an example out of her. And, and it's bigger than just her taking these cartridges over there.
We're in a war.
I
I'm
mean,
keep
if
saying
if
that.
it
Yeah.
was LeBron, LeBron would have been home
Oh,
by now.
that
Let's be
night.
honest.
He would have been home that
Yeah.
night.
But that's
We wouldn't have heard
money,
about it.
too,
We
because
wouldn't have heard about
LeBron
it.
generate billions.
Yeah.
And then I think that goes to the conversation about men and women and the monies that they make, because
Yes.
she was over there because she wasn't making
Yeah.
the money that was duly deserved of her. So would we have to talk about LeBron really even being overseas, because
Right.
he's
He
making
wouldn't.
he's
Yeah.
making the money. So
He
that's
wouldn't
a
have to
whole nother
overextend
conversation.
himself
Yeah.
to even make the money.
If he was going over to another country, it would be in a private jet, and they wouldn't be doing all that.
But this is the
checking
thing,
in.
and I say about that. Do I believe that LeBron should make so much more money? No, but this is the thing. It's not LeBron's fault. It's
NBA.
companies.
You're right.
It's marketing.
right.
It's us. It's
Yeah.
that who we want to watch it. Are we watching? You know what I mean? So it's so much more that goes into that. It's easy just to say they deserve equal pay, but it's like, well, they're not getting the same amount of,
Right.
money coming in.
Yeah.
The money coming out. But you're absolutely correct. If it was LeBron, it'd be a different story, and it shouldn't be that way. End of the day, it's still humans. We talking about
Yeah.
humans. We ain't talking about.
Yes.
We're not talking about money.
That's the key, is that we're talking about humans. So for her to be stuck over there, and I read a piece of an article where she said she's fearing for her life,
Yeah.
that she'll never, come back again. And just to think about that mental state
Over
Man.
cartridges.
over in a prison
Yeah.
in Russia, which we know what they're like in America, and I can only imagine what prison is like in another country.
Food.
Like the food,
Privacy, everything. Yeah.
It's probably
It's
to
all bad.
another level of lowness. We're not gonna use big words this Sunday. Another level of lowness, and it's not, you know, it's probably a very scary and unfortunate situation. So, you know, wish her the best.
If she was in another country, you guys think this would be different?
Yes, she would have been out. She's in
Yeah.
Turkey, or you know,
Yeah.
something like that.
Nothing against your other countries,
Yeah.
but
Against other
yeah,
countries.
it's just she would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russia, they're in a place where they could hold more cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're at war.
We're at war. Like
So,
this is the
it
wrong
was a
time to be
gem.
messing up
Yeah,
right now.
it's
I
the
mean,
wrong time.
Yeah.
matter of fact, I'm not going to another country right
That's
now.
what
I'm
I
very
said.
bored. Like,
That's
I'm
what
not
I said. I'm
going.
not.
Right.
This
I'm
is
not.
teaching me that I don't even really want to try. Because what if this happened to us? Like, we're not superstars, so it wouldn't have made the paper. It wouldn't have made anything. You know, when ASAP Rocky was, I can't remember where it was. He was in another big country, but Trump got him out in less than 48 hours, and because he threatened war on that country, and they brought him home.
Yeah, we
You
not
know.
threatening one on Russia.
I know.
No, we
They
ain't
got,
fool.
they got that button. I told you that button. They can blow up Cali right now.
Yeah, we're not fooling with Russia. We're gonna leave them right where they are. But I got a question though. What do you think about the president's response?
I don't. I just feel like it was no urgency to me. That's what I feel like. It's no urgency, and I don't know everything is going on behind the scenes or what, you know, why, but I feel like it wasn't enough urgency. And so if I'm thinking about my family member, her wife is, you know, her mom, her dad, like, you don't have enough urgency. Brittany Griner has played in few Olympics. She's brought, you know, Olympic rings home. Like, she's fought for our country in her own right.
Yes.
Why is there not enough urgency?
I think he was diplomatic in his approach. I mean, he did speak to her wife. She spoke
5
to-
months later.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was one of those things where he tried not to just go full throttle because he wasn't sure of those consequences.
Yeah.
And could
And
he
I
done
think
more?
he-
Maybe. But
you're
I
right
think he
about
was
that.
like, yo, Russia the only
I gotta be
country we
careful
really
beefing
you know,
with.
we-
Yeah.
Gotta
we
be
ain't going.
nervous.
Yeah, everybody else we can bully.
Yeah.
We don't really bully them.
Yeah.
And see, that's why, I mean, I'm not in politics. That's why he's in the seat that he's in. Because if I'm thinking, I'm like, we need to go do something. Go get her right now. Like, what's going on? Like, you know, I'm thinking all these things. But he's thinking consequences. Like, in the long run, what is it going to do to the U.S. if I got to handle things with a fine-tooth comb?
And I'm wondering what is holding us back though? Couldn't we kind of go over there and kind of be like, she's
We're
a
not
US
allowed
citizen?
to. We're not
Well,
allowed
yeah,
to.
we're not gonna sacrifice one
Yeah.
for millions, either, billions, or however many.
Oh, so if we
Yeah.
go over there like we want her back.
You can't go
we
to the.
could-
Nah,
It could
yeah.
cause a whole
Yeah.
big,
Catastrophic,
a thing that he knows
ripple
that
effect.
too, which is why his response has been very diplomatic. It has been very like listening to the aides and moving really slow with this, because you got to think about this: how many Americans over a lifetime
Yeah.
have been caught up in other countries and have been there?
Happens every
still there.
day.
It happens all the time. So we have to be mindful of how we
have to be.
respond to this one individual compared to the millions that we have in the past, and thinking about other families who have dealt with this
Yeah.
and they're watching how the president is responding to
with
this.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
so
once again, we have to be mindful just of what we're doing right now. We have to be on our square. Like, we just have to be. There's so much happening. You can barely go to the grocery store without thinking, like, I mean, I don't know nobody else, but that, like, runs through my thoughts sometimes. I'm in Walmart, like, what if somebody runs up in here?
Because it could happen.
You
Yeah.
know, so, like, we just have to be very, very mindful of what we do.
What about the guy
quickly,
that?
because we got to wrap things up. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, what about the guy that? Don't we have somebody in Russia? We can't just like do a trade. I heard people talking about that before.
Arms dealer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is,
Yeah,
but
we-
still,
yeah,
we're
don't-
not
and
doing
we
that
don't want
either.
to do that. We don't want to. We don't
We're
want
gonna
to.
stay away from
Yeah.
that
We
too.
don't. We're not willing to. That's not a good trade for us.
Not,
Okay.
not an even
Okay.
trade. If you want to trade out, it needs to be an even trade,
Okay.
not one that's greater than the other. So we got to stop because we got to get to the next topic. But thank you all for your input, Mina. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us to
Thank
talk
you.
about this subject. We'll be right back with Urban Impact Show. Welcome back to the Urban Impact Show, where we are talking Hot Topics Sunday. And I have more guests with me, and we're going to start with Akeo. If you can introduce yourself, we're going to work our way down.
Okay. First of all, I want to give honor to God. Secondly, thank you for inviting me, to be here. I'm Akeo Abdul Samad. I'm a state representative, District 34. Also, the CEO and founder of Creative Visions.
Mina, you want to introduce yourself again for everyone?
Yes, I am Mina Jones, and I am the realtor that works for you. So you looking to buy or sell, get at me.
Hi, and I'm Kelly Simmons. I'm also DJ Miss Kelly. I'm also known by that as well. So for my day job, I am the current grant administrator for Polk County. I work for the Board of Supervisors.
All right. Well, thank you all. So we're going to get right to it because I know our time is short, but we want to talk a little bit about the executive order that was done by President Biden in terms of abortion. This one hits me really hard this week. I've experienced some things with family members who had to go through some things this week. So this really touches home for me. But in his executive order, I'll just tell you a little bit about what's in there, and then I'll get your responses to if he could do more, if you feel like this is the right course of action for the president. But I'm reading this from ABC News. This is not my own stuff. It says his order largely finalizes what has already been announced by the administration, including instructions to the Justice Department to make sure women can travel out of state for abortion care. The order addresses the elevated risk for patients, providers, and clinics, which includes efforts to protect mobile clinics that have been deployed to state borders to offer care for out-of-state patients. And then he said that he's going to do all, and then he also was going to provide leave for federal workers traveling for medical care, which could set an example for private companies to do the same. So what he's trying to do, in my opinion, before I turn it all over to you, is that he's trying to take some course of action, knowing that he cannot reverse the Supreme Court's action that has been made when it's come to abortion. So he's trying to do what he can at an executive level to, one, I think, make sure people know that he cares about this. Two, to make sure that he shows that he's doing something about it. So what do you all think about this executive order? Could our president be doing more? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll let the ladies go first.
Yeah, I'll take that one. I feel like he's doing what he can to mitigate the damage that was done. But I'm going to take the responsibility back for that even happening back to the people who supported being pro-choice in the first place. We've seen what's been going on over the years. We've seen what they've been after. We've seen them in the lower courts and the higher courts with conservative justices. We knew this was coming and what would happen if we didn't get out to vote and do our part and support our representatives, for our rights. And so hopefully this is a wake-up call to the community, to women's rights activists, everybody, that it's going to take all of us to get out. It's nice to support something from your house, but you have to get up off your couch and support these causes for us to even get into this place in the first place. So, President Biden's really doing what he can to mitigate and protect, what rights are left. But, this is a call to get out, support your representatives, get the right people in the right places to get back to a little bit of normalcy.
Yes, and I second that. It is our time to stand up for our country, because I feel like we are at a place where the government and the people are not on the same page, and the government is like, they have the power in their hand, and we kind of have to sit and suffer if we don't do anything about it. So like you said, it's time to get up and really, let your voice be heard in many ways. And that doesn't always mean being with a microphone, being on a camera. You can let your voice be heard in other ways, standing up for yourself in your job, making sure you educate your family, your children. There's so many things that you can do, but definitely it is time for the people to kind of be the people, because at the end of the day, we are what matters to this country. You know what I'm saying? I think not too long ago, Deidre was on here and she had said, "We the people," the first few words of the preamble, and that's the truth. We're the people, so we have to matter in this some way, and right now, we don't matter. Right now, we just don't matter, so it's really definitely time to do something.
I think I agree. First of all, I agree. But I also think that it was a cosmetic move, a reactionary move. And we had to quit reacting. We had to be proactive. We knew this was coming. One of the things that he could have done was provide some funds, for individuals' clinics that were going to stay open, and also funds to those states that were going to give women the option of choice. The other thing is when we talk about education, I think we have to be real clear on the type of education that we're talking about. We have to change our language. You know, one of the things that we're looking at is pro-life. The difference between pro-life and pro-birth, you know, is different. We have to draw a clear line of demarcation. Most individuals who are Republican and in genre, you know, they are pro-birth, you know, and I think we all are, you know, but to be pro-life, it means you're going beyond the womb, you know, and you're going beyond the birth. That means you're going to fund schools. That means you're going to fund daycare. That means you're going to support and foster care. That means you're going to support those mothers who cannot afford, you know, and those fathers who cannot afford. And until we start going to dealing with real pro-life and having that type of conversation, you know, the rest is nothing but I won't say that on it, but anyway. You know, it's just individuals that are trying to get us hoodwinked and bamboozled and running us in a smoke screen, you know, because they're not fighting for rights. They're not fighting for the child, you know, and we have to get back to really fighting for the child. That means from the womb to the tomb. Then we're fighting for the child, and we're not doing that. So we who believe in pro-life need to start having that conversation.
Right.
You know, with those who say they believe. You know, then the key is, did you help fund education? Are you in your schools? Are you making sure foster care is funded?
Right.
What are we doing with DHS? Those are the things we have to begin to
Why
do.
ain't no milk?
And that's what concerns
That's
me.
crazy.
Why ain't no baby milk? But we can't even, you know, we got to have the babies, but ain't even no
No
milk.
milk to feed
You
them.
know, everybody
Yeah.
don't want to breastfeed. You know, I mean, seriously. I mean, oof.
And
You just said
that's what
mouthful.
concerns me, though, is the response. So now that, you know, we have what we have, you know, Roe versus Wade was overturned. Now we know what's coming next. I know all of us know what's coming next. The system is already overloaded. I know those are Facebook friends with me. You know, there's a child through LSI that I've kept in contact with that has nobody right now. And he's, you know, the thought right now is he's going to spend the rest of, you know, he should be 13 now. He's going to spend probably till he's 18 years old in a residential institution because he has some special needs and nobody's stepped up for it. You know, you all were aware of my own personal struggle placing my child, you know, with special needs in residential. You know, we waited 8 years. I went through cancer treatment through that, you know what I mean? But now we have all these kids in the system that are waiting for homes anyway. Now we're going to have this many more. So we're going to need this many more caseworkers, CPS workers to investigate child abuse, because that's coming when you know, put somebody in a possible situation and stress them even further out. And so, you know, we need to talk about what's going to happen to the system now that this has happened, and what our legislatures or what is the administration going to do about it. Because as you said, you know, where's the money for these programs? You know, we have to have money for these programs. We're putting a lot of money. That's my wheelhouse there. We're putting a lot of money into clean energy, roads, you know, things of that nature. But, you know, affordable housing, child care, all those things, you know, all are a part of the pro-life discussion.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
They're all a part of that.
But not only that, we have to start having, again, those real conversations. If you, and believe me, I feel bad for Ukrainians and the war that's going on, but we have the money to deal with that. But if we can come in a matter of less than a month and get billions of dollars, you know, to go in, but then, sisters, you just brought up, we can't send, you know, $4.5 million to get the milk coming, the milk that we need, and get that company straight. That's hypocritical. You know, if we can't deal with homeless babies, you know, and we can send $63 billion across the water, that's hypocritical, because you got to take care of home first before we reach out to other areas, you know, and we're not taking care of home. So no one can come and talk about pro-life, pro-abortion. You can't talk about that until we're talking about justice, you know, for everyone, and inclusion for everyone, and not use it as a buzzword, you know. And then we have to bring that term that has been evolving, you know, that term is evolving, that they haven't been able to manipulate, that they're scared of, called revolution. You know, we have to take on and say we are revolutionaries now. you know, and we have to have a revolution in this country, you know, and we can't let people define it as something negative, you know, because if we don't, then we'll start keep these buzzwords talking about diversity, inclusion. Let's hire one colored person, you know, let one color, you know, or let's do that.
Put
No,
them ahead of DEI.
you know.
We're gonna put this one salary. Oh, they think they so slick.
The key
Back
is,
to what I was kind of saying, like we the people. I just feel like, for me, it's just if we all come together and stop like going to the DOT, which I know is drastic, but that's just an example.
I get it.
They would have to listen to us.
Yeah.
If we stop living by their rules, they'll start living by ours.
No, it's absolutely right. I know I'm sorry, I got cut us off because I'm getting the wrap up signal. So I know we got to wrap up. And this topic really is worth more than 7 minutes. But I wanted, it was very near and dear to my heart. But really quickly though, Akeo, before we leave, has any laws changed in the state of Iowa? Because we have seen, you know, some of those trigger states where things went into effect in their states. Has anything changed in the state of Iowa, just for people who are wondering about where Iowa stands?
Abortion is still legal in Iowa at this point. Okay. One of the things that we have to look at, and someone brought it up in the prior segment, if you don't go out and vote,
right,
and we don't make a change, I can guarantee you abortion will be on the ballot next time, or laws will be made, and Iowa then would join the other 17 or so states that would literally ban abortions, you know, because we do not have the House, the Senate, or the governorship. Right. And the laws will be passed. And that's not being negative, that's the reality.
That's the truth.
Yeah. That's the reality. So right now it's legal.
Okay.
You know, and you can get an abortion now.
All right, that's good to know. So here in our state, everything is still legal, but please make sure you get out and vote. We've stressed that from this show since we've been talking about it. Your vote matters. So thank you all for talking about the hot topic of abortion and the president's executive order. We'll be right back with the Urban Impact Show.
And we are back. As y'all can see, we're doing some fiery stuff today. It is, I'm loving the way that we have this one done. Y'all hear from us all the time. Y'all hear from the host of the Urban Impact Show all the time. Luana Nelson Brown, Brittany Dudley, Lewis Fountain, DeWanna Bradley, and myself. Y'all hear from us all the time, right? What we don't get the opportunity to do is to talk to these experts about things that is not necessarily like their strict expertise, but to hear their thoughts on just all things that are happening across our country and, of course, in our local area. So we only have a few minutes to get this topic done, and I know many of you saw the article that came out on KCCI where it was talking about the police officers here in Des Moines are suing the Des Moines Black Liberation Movement, which was a group that helped lead a lot of the protests that took place in 2020 during the whole George Floyd movement. We know that BLM did respond back saying that this is a gross overreach of power. And, I had my thoughts and feelings on it. Like, I text and, and I felt some type of way when I read what was happening. But we have some guests here, and we're going to jump right in it. And so, Kelly, we're going to start with you, and we're going to work our way down to State Representative Arcayo. So what do you think about the police suing the BLM group?
I think they should leave well enough alone at this point. That's what I think. I think they should leave well enough alone. I found it interesting that the actual police department chose not to comment on the situation. When the relations between the community anyway and the police are kind of a delicate stage right now. So this obviously does more damage. But to me, these officers in particular send a message to the community not to get involved. Almost to me, it kind of sends a discouraging message that, hey, we can go after you and everything you have if you stand up, against anything that is in disagreement to what we're doing to our agenda. And so I just would want to encourage anybody to not stop. Don't let that discourage you. Don't let the possibility of liability getting in your way. You have to think back before they're getting arrested. They're getting beaten up. Now you possibly get sued. But, we'll see how far it goes. I wish personally I would have heard a direct response as far as support or distancing themselves from these officers' lawsuits. And I was disappointed not to hear that. I think that is a definite misstep by the Des Moines Police Department. But those are my thoughts on that.
Mina?
Well, now they done it again. That's all I would say. I mean, to me, that's just absolutely ridiculous. There were things that I can say maybe were unlawful that happened during the protest, but to turn back around and sue individuals for that is like a slap in the face. Once again, though, not like we don't have to put up with enough, not like we haven't been through enough, not like, y'all, they haven't had the power, the upper hand in almost everything anyways, but to turn back around and say, oh, you protested, so I'll make sure that, like you said, come and get you for everything. Not only beat up and locked up, have to pay some bills and fines, but then I'm going to go ahead and sue you.
They're sending a message. That's how I feel. They're sending a message.
It's a clear message, and I would say that I'm kind of happy that, I wish the department would say, no, we're not involved in it, but I'm happy that they're just kind of staying out of it at this time. We definitely want to hear from them, but if they're staying out of it, maybe it's not a department thing, maybe it's an individual thing, and I think that those officers probably should be looked at a little bit more closer. What have their arrests been like? What complaints have been brought up against them? Because if they take this piece of, initiative or power and take it like this, there's no telling how many other times they took advantage of situations. So it's ugly. That's not good.
State Rep?
Let me try to do this real quick because I saw the hand signals. So one of the things that, again, to me, the public is being hoodwinked and bamboozled, because the key is if you throw up a smoke screen, then you miss the big picture. We passed a bill unanimously called the More Perfect Union, which actually brought individuals together, the community, the police, the legislature, everybody together. Everybody worked on that bill. To slap people in the face was the next bill that was pushed was Back the Blue bill, which allowed these officers to sue, but it didn't provide the officers with the necessary support that they needed to really protect the police officers. And when I say protect the police officers and the community, that should have put money into that bill to be able to hire mental health workers, to be able to hire individuals so that instead of buying ammunition or trying to sue, it would have provided police the technical assistance and the personnel to be able to go out and address the different issues within the community. Even a community liaison person that would work 24/7 in in building relationships with the community. So this is a political move, and I think to the point, if we, not if people want to go after the police department is wrong, because we need to go to the root, and the root is the governor. All right, we need to go to the root cause. The governor's the one who pushed this back to blue, and that's not being negative. This is again real conversation. When pushed it back to blue, took a lot of it. A lot of police officers didn't even want the back to blue bill, and that's on record. But now, if we let her not be held accountable, and that would mean you got to call her names or anything else, we just have to say, hey, we're not going to be hoodwinked and bamboozled. This bill was an asinine bill. Can I say asinine? Mm-hmm. Okay. Asinine bill, so, it needs to be, dealt with, go back to the negotiation table so we can put in the mechanisms that's necessary to help the community, help policing, help be able to build our community, especially in mental health, and also build it when we're talking about building that relationship with the community itself.
Now, that bill passed, right?
That bill passed, and I want to be real clear because I'm so tired of everybody talking about the legislators passed. No, the legislators didn't pass the bill. Republicans passed the bill. Mm-hmm. And again, that's not being negative. That's reality. It's on record. Every Democrat basically that could voted against it. Some Democrats voted for it because they looked at re-election instead of looking at the people. So I want to be real clear, that happens. So some people, and I understand that. But it's, I won't get in that. But anyway, this is what we have to look. Yes, it did pass. The police department could not have did the suing if that bill had not passed. Mm-hmm. So that was put on the table, and it was passed. It was the House, Senate, and the governor signed it. And we have to be able to understand, until we show up at the Capitol and start saying we're going to meet with the governor, let's get our word out there. See, there's a difference. Now, the point is she will talk to us, or talk to people. You may not like what she said, but the key is to have a conversation. Yes. Because she may not like what you say. You know that. But the key is we have to start having that conversation and quit acting like the Capitol ain't our capital.
Right. Come on. Yeah.
So we're out of time on this topic, but man, let me tell y'all, I'm loving this fire off style that we're doing here. And you don't get to just hear from us as the host of the Urban Impact Show, but you get to hear from our community members. And so we're super excited. Don't forget to press the share button on this. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some more topics.
All right now.
Welcome back to the Urban Impact Show. I am one of your hosts, Brittany Dudley. So the 8035 Festival was this weekend, and it's been gone for, I think, about 2-3 years. I think with the pandemic, that is just an event that they haven't brought back. Has anybody go there this weekend? Or I'm sure you've seen the traffic.
I've seen the traffic. I've seen the setup because I was at Vibes. Mm-hmm. And then I seen some videos on Facebook of it. It looked interesting.
Yeah, and I think they had over 50 bands this year. But I wonder, was it a big hit this weekend since it's been gone for a while? Sounds like a lot of people hadn't even heard about it being back. There's been a lot of good festivals and events that have happened here in Des Moines, over the past few months. And so I think maybe they didn't do a lot of publicizing it with it being gone for a while. What do you guys think? I mean,
maybe, because I didn't hear much about it at all. I didn't hear much about it.
Well, I thought it was a good turnout.
Yeah.
And it was a good turnout because, number one, people want to get out.
Yes.
Number two, you have individuals that want to hear the type of music that they know that they were missing the last 2 years because of COVID. You know, and I think though that we need to look at, you know, another side of that is that those type of festivals are great, you know, but we need to tap into the same funding so that we can fund Juneteenth.
Yes.
You know, the same way. You know, we need to make Juneteenth, you know,
bigger deal
to a bigger and everything. Let us block it off. But they charge $65 just to get in. That was to see some of the local bands and you know, and that type of thing. That wasn't seeing the great big bands, you know. So I didn't have $65, and Rob wouldn't loan it to me. So you know, the thing is though, we have to look at, you know, and support the entertainment like that. But then we need to also support our own. You know, we need to have some big events. You know, go ahead. No.
I was going to say, I'm glad you brought that up because I was watching, I believe it's on Netflix, maybe the Sunset Festival. It was like a big festival they had back in the day. And it was like kind of stop the violence, you know, bring black people together. And I was like, why can't we do something like that where we bring some of the local artists and bigger artists here? It was all sponsored. Everything, nothing came out of the guy's pocket that put it together, and like do something kind of like that. Because what I can say, I've seen a lot of people that didn't look like us at the 80, 35.
Typically, that's
and that's typically what it is. So how would it be, you know, to get us together? I feel like
I think it can happen. I think it's just probably all about planning it. And I like his idea of like, why don't we make Juneteenth something just as big as the 8035, you know, festival, and what would it take? You know what I mean? $65, I think ticket wise is probably not something people in our community can pay, but it doesn't have to be that. Like, you know, we can fly in different guests or different people, and just like they are doing, because 50 bands, I know that they're not all from here. You know what I mean? So they have to be all from around the world. So like I like that idea. I think it's just probably about going into a little bit more planning. I mean, they had probably 3 years to plan this because they haven't had it in a while. So I'm sure they wanted to do a big bang. I didn't see. Usually, I feel like the traffic is a little bit more than it has been. So I didn't think it was probably as big as it usually is. And I didn't even hear much about it. You know, unfortunately, I feel like they didn't do a lot of publicizing for it.
Well, they depended on the news and Channel 8 and, you know, those. But if we look at taking that same concept, you know, and we go and get funders to be able to do it, and also if we as a community, you know, go to the organizers of Juneteenth or those who have organized before that want to add that to Juneteenth, you know, like, you know, to Sister Bradley and Rob and them, and say, hey, we're going to put together some money. You know, if the community came together, especially the individuals sitting here, and we have organized a fund, you know, so that we're putting some skin in the game, you know, then we can get other funders to come in, you know, and we can do old school and new school. You know, Juneteenth, old school and new school, come join us.
Like a big concert?
Like a great big concert, have the folk come down. You know, because, you know, we could do it.
Everybody for the fair.
Yeah.
I mean, the fair be jumping.
People you didn't even know still perform.
Doing it, Nelly and Ludacris this year, ain't they?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If they can get it to come for the Iowa State Fair, I'm sure that with the right pitch and the right promotion, we can make people want to do this just to help us out and bring our community together. Because one thing I noticed, so I grew up in Des Moines, but I actually went to Louisville, Kentucky for about 8 years. And I noticed how stripped of culture we are here. And it would be so nice to have some of that just black love around us and things that bring us together. And black people love music. So, you know, something to bring us together, I think that's a wonderful idea. And we probably could take a little spin off of that and give us a little Juneteenth block party or something going on back there.
I think the community is doing a lot better as far as supporting the events that are being thrown now. And so that's been an important part of it. Just like, you know, when they have Juneteenth, Neighbors Day, all that type of stuff. You know, the community has definitely gotten better as far as supporting these events so they can continue and getting more involved. I would also like to call on the community. See, here I go again. Until it gets to that point, because I DJ on the side, so like I most of the time when it's something that benefits the community, I'm not charging anything.
Yeah.
We can do in-kind donations to take some of that stress off of the organizers' backs, because just coming from a funding background, it is a lot of work to solicit, those grants, those just gifts, to get your event funded. So there's a lot of people out there. We could come together as a community to get it to that point, and then start paying everybody. But until that time, if you have gifts or talents or services or anything like that, if you cater anything like that, it would be great if you'd reach out to some of these organizers and offer your services in kind.
We are having Creative Visions on the 15th is having a meet and greet. Let's put neighbor back into the hood. That's on the 15th. Everything is free. We're going to have a bouncy house. We're going to have entertainment. We're going to block off the street, and the food is free, So, but those are the things we need to do to build up to be able to charge from. But, one of the things that we have to get away from the myth, we ain't broke.
Yeah.
We know broke now. And the point is, we also have people with money. We have Nick Nichols that still lives in our community. We have Bowie and I'm just throwing out some names. But, if we did a proposal and went to individuals that in our community and said, we want to make Juneteenth so memorable, and started annually to help individuals that are organizing. I'm serious, and I don't say that because I'm here and was invited to be on the show. But after Juneteenth, I went home and tears welled up in my eyes because we always struggle so hard. We struggle hard just to make it happen. And when I can watch my brothers and sisters organize this and struggle so hard, and I know we're not broke. And we have to quit talking like we're broke. We can be tight, and yes, gas is going up and everything else, but come on, sitting right here, how much gas bothered us? We still spending a little money here and stuff that we don't even need.
I think this is a great conversation. I want to thank all of you guys for coming and spending some time with us today. Quickly, can we just have some of your final thoughts on today's show and the topics? We can go this way.
Yeah, I mean, it can get discouraging, but right now I'm more excited about what I'm seeing in the community. I'm not from Des Moines. I'm actually from Ames. I grew up in Ames. I have family down here, but just to see, just being in this area so long, just to see the amount of just minority, Black and brown events and the diversity that's going on, I'm excited. I'm also excited to see these young leaders stepping up. I'm excited to see people that look like me stepping up. I'm excited to see our cohort that Mina and I are part of. All these young minority members stepping up and ready to run for office, ready to get on these boards and these committees, ready to do anything they can to help the community, and that's what it's going to take.
Thank you. What about you?
My final thoughts would be do what you can. Do what you can, give back what you can, and vote. Vote, and then have the audacity to make a change. Don't let nobody tell you, oh, that's too big of a dream. Have the audacity. Do it.
Thank you.
I think we need to support, the Urban Impact Show. We need to support any event that we put on, and we need to support one another. And I hate to say it, I'm a little older than y'all, but I like going back sometime to old school. My mama looked at me and said, if you ain't got something good to say about somebody, don't say nothing at all.
There it is.
And that's where that's, especially if you ain't doing daily squat to help. And if you just got off a Greyhound bus, stay at the bus station until you find your track to get on, and quit jumping on other people's track. And if we do that and love one another and know that the struggle is real, but we can win, and we must win.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming and spending time with us today. It's always a pleasure. I feel like we've had you on a few times, Akeo, and we had you on for a few times. So I feel like you guys are kind of like honorary guests here at the Urban Impact Show. So thank you. We are going to take a break, and thank you for watching the Urban Impact Show.
All right. That was great.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Urban Impact Show. Man, what a show! Like, I felt like that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a good
we
show.
Round Robin
yeah,
edition.
we hadn't done a show like that before. Usually it's just us sitting here, and the people taking in our thoughts and opinions on different topics. But I felt like that was a real opportunity for us to showcase our
Yeah,
community
I
and
liked
the
it.
depth of our community that we have. What y'all thought?
I liked it. I thought it was a good way to get other people's thoughts instead of always hearing us talk and, letting the community hear them. They talk about their crafts a lot, but we want to know their opinions on some of these, events that are going on in the world. So I liked it.
I think it was the Welcome Back Lewis edition.
Yeah.
it was.
So
Yeah.
that was dope. That was dope, Rob. I think-
You like how he did that?
I mean, I think that was, again, at the end of the day, we always want to hear everyone's perspective,
Right.
Especially people that's true, that's living right in our community, and,
Yeah.
and how they think about things that's going on. So no, that was awesome.
Yeah, no, I think we should think about doing this often. We could use a break every about once a month or so
Yeah.
that we could just bring the community in. I think it's important because the work that we do, with the media company and everything is about community. That's what we do. So bringing them in to get their thoughts and opinions and their ideas, and it's not just coming from the perspective of us, but bringing in that other fresh perspective, I think is important.
And Rob need a break from y'all bullying him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lewis. I appreciate
No
that.
doubt, always.
I do want to say this. How much time do we have?
Like 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay. I do want to say this really quickly. Y'all know I like politics. Y'all know that's my thing.
I love politics.
I do. And I just want to say to our viewers, elect people who show up.
Exactly.
This is like there's going to be a lot of TV commercials. There's going to be a lot of negative ads. There's going to be a lot of slander, nonsense. There's going to be a bunch of stuff, right? I am going to encourage you all now on this hot day in July of 2022, vote for people who show up. Now, as an organization, we do not endorse one candidate over the other. On our personal pages, that's whatever we want on our personal pages. But the Urban Impact Show does not endorse one candidate over the other. But I can tell you that there was one gubernatorial candidate that showed up for Juneteenth and actually spoke to the people at Juneteenth.
Exactly.
I can tell you that there were 6 or 7 elected officials who showed up to the rally today to support reproductive rights, and one gubernatorial candidate showed up. No matter what your beliefs are, because I know that certain black folks, especially in our church community, are not down for the whole reproductive right thing, right? They're like no to abortions, no to certain other things that one of these parties may be standing for, right? What I do know is that party may also have what is best for your community as a whole. So the question then becomes, all right, who do we put in office that will best serve our community as a whole?
Preach, Reverend Johnson.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I may feel one way about one topic.
But what about
Brittany,
education? I'm education. Yeah.
Lewis, DeWanda may feel another way about another topic, right? And I will not agree with everything that our elected officials do. People know that Akeo and I are close, right? Let me be respectful because this is a media show. State Representative Akeo and I are close, right? And when State Rep and I have conversations, we don't always agree, right?
Rob and I got close by not agreeing.
Right, we don't always agree, and you will never know that because when we step out, we're on one accord.
Yeah.
Amen.
He's like, Rob, I need you to go with me on this one.
I got
or
you.
I may have to say to State Rep,
I need you
I think you got to cave on this one, or I think you got to come back on this one, or something like that, right? So support those who show up for us.
Amen.
Lewis, because this is your first show back, final thoughts, and then we out of here.
Final thoughts. No, I think that was an amazing show. I also think we need to give Representative Akeo his flowers while he just listening to him and listen to his wisdom and the information he's given us and our community for a long time now. Like, I think we have to be mindful of that and continue to listen and continue to honor and to continue to give him his flowers while he's here. So no, it was great having him on the show. It was great having being back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great, you know, poking fun at Rob a little bit. So, nah, man, this is amazing.
Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Urban Impact Show. We look forward to seeing you next week. You never know what's going to happen here. Thanks so much, and we look forward to having you back. Take care. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Good job. Good job, everyone.
Good job.
Good job. Good job. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I was supposed to be back last week.
Oh, yeah, no, it worked out
It
great.
worked out perfect.
Yeah, it worked out.
Rob texted me at 4:15.